Cool.
Live from New York, Saturday morning. It's good to see all you guys. It's the Prayer Revolution, your daily prayer podcast. I'm Doyal, here with my good friend and co-host Vira. And I'm really glad to be with all of you guys, all of our Zoomers tuning in. Michelle, Bryn, George, glad you're here, as well as all of us tuning in on Instagram Live. We're just really happy that you're here. We start our morning and our days off with a prayer that Vera will lead us through, and then we spend half an hour just discussing about what it means to connect to a higher source, higher power, higher reality on a regular basis through the simple practice of prayer. And prayer is not just 5 minutes in the morning or 5 minutes in the evening where I ask for something or this or that, but it really is a moment to moment wanting to connect to my deeper self and to a deeper, higher source and to a deeper reality, and that life is unfolding for me at every moment. But I forget that because I forget my divine connection, and I forget the divine connection that every other living being around me. And so when I'm thinking of people as, when I see people according to their material bodies and their mental designations, and I see myself according to my material bodies and mental designations, there's going to be some people that I love and think are the greatest people in the world because they looked at me lovingly and said something nice about my haircut. And there's people that I'm going to think are the worst jerks in the world because, they don't look the way I think they should, or they said something, they didn't recognize, something nice that I did. And I create this context of friends and enemies. And so we try to get past all of that, and we try to pray for divine consciousness and divine guidance and divine will. And there's nobody better at doing that for us than our good friend Vira. And so please, Vira, please lead us in our morning prayer, and then we will take it from there. Lead us in prayer and take it from there. That's our hashtag. That's our mantra.
Lead us in prayer and take it from there. I love it. And also for all of us that are tuning in, we're given an opportunity every day really to explore what it is that's pressing on your hearts and your minds. And Doyle and I, more than anything, we started this podcast for the community, for people that were reaching out and asking for a spiritual perspective on life, and just to share, our journey, and to be able to, all of us to be able to share our journey together. So we encourage questions, we encourage your reflections, your insights. We learn from you just as much as we share. So please contribute, and please join in that way.
Please do.
Yeah. And thank you, Doyal, for welcoming us and giving us an opportunity to connect. And for all of us that are tuning in right now, we're going to pause in our day, whatever it is we're doing right now. We're going to take just a few minutes. We're going to pause and start to connect to your breath. Start to connect to nice deep inhales and exhales. You can close your eyes, find a comfortable seat or standing position, wherever you are, just relaxing your body. So letting go of that tension, letting go of that need to control and that need to be active in a doing state of being, and just drop into just being in the present moment. Continue to stay connected to your breath. We are opening up a main line. We're opening up a powerful line of communication that's always available to us every moment of our day, every moment of our life, to a higher power, a power that is greater than just our physical body, our mental, intellectual capacity, something that charges us, that gives us life, that can help to connect us when we're feeling disconnected, can help us to be courageous when we're feeling fearful, a power that is beyond just our own capacity. And so we tap into that every morning, and we have an opportunity to tap into that connection every moment of our life if we choose it. So opening our hearts, setting your own intention. What is it that you're seeking? Connecting to what's most important to you in your life right now. What is it that you're looking for in your life? What's most important to you to have clarity around, to have courage to face? What is that in your life? Let this prayer fuel that. This time that we're together today, let it be an investment in that connection. My dear Lord, today I pray to be your messenger, that my hands may do your good work, that my feet will move my body into loving service, that my eyes will see your beauty in all beings, that my ears will hear your message and deliver it with love and compassion to all whom I meet. Today, may our hearts be filled with your love. And as your messenger, may we distribute it freely with joy. Let us be filled today with your compassion, with your love, with your strength, with your beauty, with your tolerance, your patience, your gratitude, with all of your divine qualities. Let our hearts and our consciousness be filled with those divine qualities. And as your messengers, let us, throughout our day today, throughout our life, let us carry those qualities. Let's distribute them through our actions. Let's distribute them through our words, through our thoughts of others and ourselves. Let us fill ourselves up with prayer, with spiritual connection, with spiritual community, spiritual practice. And from that connection, from that fullness, let's go into the world and let's distribute that freely. My Lord, praying that we can be surcharged today in these moments with your divine energy. We call out to your holy names. There's so many of your beautiful names and so many traditions. And we call out this great Hare Krishna mantra, calling out to your divine, beautiful form to engage us in your service. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, sweet souls.
Good morning. Yeah. Good morning, DG. Grateful to see you. That smile, Baba, that smile, man. I just get a little dose of that smile. You're filling my heart up right now with beauty and with joy.
It's like coming out of your prayers. It's like my little puppy dog. It's like the cutest and sweetest that he ever is like when he's just waking up for a nap. He's like drowsy and like he's got that like just kind of cute sparkle in his eyes. So it's like coming out of a prayer with you. It's like everything's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I feel the same way. I feel like, coming out of a prayer and seeing you guys, coming out of a prayer and seeing your faces and seeing people joining in on Instagram, absolutely it does that, right? It somehow or other, it puts me into the state and it works. It's just this test that we're experimenting with. We're experimenting with prayer. We're experimenting with spiritual life. We're on this journey. We're discovering and seeing actually what is it about this? What is it? What does it provide for me in my life? What does it do when I'm practicing steadily, when I'm praying steadily, when I'm coming and hanging out with, Bren and Michelle and George and Doyal and all you guys, Satya online, all you guys online. What happens? I see Vraj tuned in too from New York. What happens when we are practicing and putting ourselves in company of people that are trying their best to live in integrity and live in values and principles and be compassionate in their life? What happens when we practice like that? And for me, it's basically, it's I've been in the test and been in the experiment, different parts throughout my life, but steadily for the last 10 years. And if I look back on my life, I'm just a better person. I'm a happier person. I'm a more fulfilled person. And that gradually is increasing as time goes on. And through service, right? And through that, okay, today, not what can I get? And yes, of course, there's so many things I need to do as duty, as responsibility to take care of my mind, my body, my emotions and family, etc. Like there are things that I need to do, need to be responsible for. And that everything can be in the consciousness of a messenger of a higher power. Everything can be in the consciousness of an opportunity to serve, an opportunity to appreciate, an opportunity to be grateful, even if it is just the normal duties of work and the normal duties of family, etc. So seeing that, okay, that's the meaning that I'm looking for in my life. That's the fulfillment that I'm looking for in my life. So much is out of my control, but that I know when I'm doing that inner work and I'm seeing that opportunity, and it can be challenging sometimes, but I'm seeing that opportunity to serve. I'm seeing that opportunity to give, to be a messenger in whatever way that looks like, the simple and the big ways. I'm happier because of it. So
that's beautiful. That was Srila Prabhupada, who's the the teacher of our teacher, when he was bringing some of these bhakti teachers from the West, he was asked, why have you come here? You know, it was like in the 60s and 70s, and all these spiritual swamis were making their way to India. And somebody said, he was asked that question several times. And one time he was asked that question, he answered, he said, to remind you what you've forgotten. He just said, to remind you what you've forgotten, you know? And so I thought of that when you were saying we're all messengers, you know, we're messengers. And so I like that. Thanks for being a messenger. Reminded me what I forget all the time. And I forget a lot, you know, I forget a lot.
Yeah.
You know,
that's why it's daily, right? That's why we're doing the podcast daily, so we can remember. We're just trying to stay on pace, stay on in the rhythm.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's easy. It's easy to. We live in a culture. We live in a society. We live in whatever it is that they're trying to make us forget. You know, it's like they're laying it on thick. You know, to forget exactly who you really are and what's really really important. You know. So it's not easy.
Yes. The whole world, right? The whole world is like, forget, you know, that happiness is within. Happiness is not within. Happiness is external. Happiness is through gratifying these beautiful senses of touch and taste, and what we see and what we smell and what we hear. That's where, and yes, and there's truth to that, right? It's like, and it's not just the senses. It's not just the senses. It's the senses are vehicles for actually nourishing the heart and the soul, not just for gratifying the little nerve endings, the tingling that we get from sex and from drugs and from alcohol and partying and drinking and success and fame and all the different things, all the tingling of our nerves. Ooh, we get the little release of chemicals in our body. No, that's not what I'm looking for, man, because that lifts me up and it drops me down and lifts me up and drops me down, and it's crushing. It's like being in an ocean. It's like being in an ocean with uncontrolled waves that are just smashing me, you know, lifting me up and breaking me down. And that I'm looking for, like you were talking about yesterday, we're looking for that spiritual heart, looking for that part of ourself that when we feed it and we nourish it, happiness awakens from within. Joy, gratitude, hope, courage awaken from within. And it's like an ever-increasing spring, an ever-increasing well that just flushes more and more of that spiritual energy and quality throughout our body and our mind and our senses and our heart and our life.
Yeah. I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday, and they were thinking of this phrase from the prayers of Queen Kunti in Srimad Bhagavatam that one can, my Lord, she's making her prayer. So the chapter, the whole section is called the prayers of Queen Kunti. So she's teaching us what it means to actually pray with feeling, and she says that, my dear Lord, said you can easily be approached. You're easily to be approached by those who are materially exhausted. You know, and I was talking to someone, they're like, yeah, I'm just feeling materially exhausted. You know, not just like I'm just tired and need a nap, but like I'm just tired of trying to squeeze out juice from something that's just already been squeezed. You know, that beautiful verse also from later in the Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj, Puna Punas Charvata Charvananam, chewing the chewed. And so I was thinking, like, I used to make kofta balls for the Bhakti Center for these feasts. And the way you make koftas is you have to shred vegetables. And so we would sometimes put potatoes and carrots, or carrots and cabbage. I don't know if Insta-Veg is still here, but he was working in our restaurant. He used to shred all the koftas and make koftas.
Best koftas in the world.
Shred the vegetables. You shred these vegetables, and then you have to squeeze all the water out, because you have to squeeze the water out from the vegetables because the water is there, because then you mix it with basin flour and it forms like a batter kind of thing, and then you roll into balls and you fry that. And then after you fry that little croquette, you make like a
me hungry, Doyal.
You make a spicy tomato sauce, and you dunk it and soak in that tomato sauce, and you put like fresh cilantro on it, and then you serve it out as a dish. And so
AJ's got an Italian flag behind him. You're talking about making.
I think that's a Mexican flag.
Mexican flag. Oh, sorry.
He's like, come on. There's Mexican flag, right, AJ?
Trying to give Doyal a shout out.
What's the flag?
I
don't know, something. He's got something back there.
He's repping. Okay, Doyal, stay with you. You're squeezing out the water from the cabbage. Everyone's
squeezing out the water from
drooling.
the vegetables, and so like you got to squeeze it out. And when you first squeeze it, like a bunch of water just kind of extra comes out. Because if you don't squeeze the water, then the water gets mixed in with your batter. Oh, he's showing us there. It's Irish.
Ireland.
I was
AJ,
like, yes,
please forgive me. Please
Sullivan
forgive
doesn't
me.
sound Italian or Mexican.
Nah, definitely
Irish.
not.
Okay, he's Irish. Okay, good
Really,
to know.
really failed that. Sorry
Good
about that.
Good that we feel that out. He's not Mexican, Italian, or Irish. He's an eternal spirit soul. We're trying to ascribe material labels to him. He's teaching us. He's like, listen, guys, I tuned in to remind you that I'm not these things, and here you are telling me I am these things. So anyway, you gotta squeeze. So when you squeeze the water comes out. And at a certain point, you squeeze it, and there's just the water is, at a certain point there's no more water, but you gotta squeeze it harder to get every last drip. And at a certain point, there's just nothing left but dry starch.
And ripped biceps and triceps.
And ripped biceps and triceps. But it's like, that's kind of like what we're doing with the material world. We're trying to squeeze out some enjoyment. At a certain point, we just realize there's no more juice here. There's no more water, but it's like and we're just squeezing, and we're just squeezing this dry starch, trying to get some sort of juice out. And Prahlad Maharaj in the Bhagavatam, I've been saying, you're chewing what's already been chewed. You're squeezing what's already been squeezed. Like there's nothing there. But yet we just keep going back to it. And then the material exhaustion comes when it's like, you know what I mean? Sometimes it comes when everything's taken away from me in my life, and whether my wealth, my fame, and there's stories of that in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the beautiful story of the Avanti Brahmana in the 11th canto. We should read that story sometime. Or sometimes we have everything still, and we realize, you know what? I have everything that I should have in my material life, but I still feel empty.
Mm-hmm.
There's still something missing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm squeezing all of it like tremendously, but there's none of that juice coming out. It reminded me, there was a Seinfeld skit where he was talking about advertisements, and it's like you listen, like, Sprite, obey your thirst was a big a tagline campaign for Sprite, or Nike just do it. And you see people in Nike, and they're spiking volleyballs, and they're slam dunking, and they're surfing big waves and all this stuff, and like drink Sprite. And he's like, I'm drinking Sprite. I don't feel any of that stuff. And he's like, maybe there's not enough ice in my glass. It's like, that's kind of the thing. He's like, maybe there's not enough ice in my glass. Like I don't have the right size, or you know what I mean? It's like there's this false hope that's been sold to us that thinks when I get these things, then we get these things. And rather than thinking like, oh, I was just sold a bunch of crap, we think, oh, I just need to get another one. Or I just need a little bit more ice in my glass, or like I need another drink, or another serving, or another
a more beautiful partner, more money in my bank,
totally, right?
Whatever it may be, right?
And Queen Kunti's selling like, no, you just have to become exhausted with the whole system. Like, don't think that you got the wrong permutation of numbers, like your material equation. If you just move the pieces around, you know what I mean? It's not like a lottery where if you just put the right permutation, like you think of like the lottery, it's like 10, $50 million to save. And it's just like, what are the right numbers to click that? There's no material lottery. There's no material lottery that would you get all the pieces just right. And the trick, the illusion is to think that you're so close. You're so, I mean, it's actually something, that there's just enough hope. There's just enough hope to keep you going. You know what I mean? But it never actually fulfills itself, And so like, we're left thinking just enough hope in the material world, to keep us going, but never quite be fulfilled in it. And so it's like, we have to, Raghunath, our friend and teacher Raghunath says often, he's like, there is no hope in the material world. We really have to lose material hope, but and puncture the romance of the material world. And the mark of the spiritualist, of the yogi, is that material disillusionment doesn't lead towards depression and anger and bitterness and hopeless and utter hopelessness, but it's a catalyst for spiritual. It infuses myself to seek something higher and something beyond. It's actually a spiritual hopefulness. You know what I mean? Material hopelessness should lead to spiritual hopefulness. And that's kind of where bhakti begins. that's the message of the Bhagavad Gita, and that's, that's the prayer we're all making.
Mm-hmm. So beautiful, Doyal. And I was thinking about Srinathji. I'm reading his biography that Stephen Rosen wrote for him. And Srinathji, for those that don't know, I can't remember. I know his last name is Desai, but he, he's a very, very, very successful businessman and industrialist in India. And he's somebody that, materially speaking, he's like a king. He's like one of the most wealthy, most influential people in all of India, and has international kind of recognition, doing business internationally, running major, major successful corporation. And he found, okay, that just by doing that, that's not going to satisfy him. It's not just through business that, just through accumulating wealth and power and influence, that's not going to satisfy him. And as he was seeking throughout his life, he was a spiritual seeker, and he came into contact with Srila Prabhupada. He came into contact with Radhanath Swami, so many great teachers and saints and spiritual practitioners. He found that actually it was through using everything that he had been given, like that his duty and his dharma in life was to be successful. That was actually for him to abandon that and just live in a hermitage or live in an ashram would not have been serving, actually. But for him to use all that influence, for him to use that power to help uplift people, to be charitable, to give back, to help people transform their consciousness and give people access to that through developing so many different initiatives that he was a part of, that all that material life, it became a catalyst and it became spiritual life. Everything he was doing, his business became spiritual. His charity, everything that he was doing became spiritual, because he shifted his consciousness to see, how can I be selfless? How can I serve? This isn't just about me and about accumulating power for my own control and my own gratification, my own selfishness of what I want, what I need, and how I want to control this world and what I can extract and take from people. But how can I give back? And how can I make a difference in the world and make a difference in people's lives by putting God in the center, by seeing, a higher power in everyone's life, in everyone's heart, in every, and seeing the opportunity to be a messenger, right? To be an instrument of that. So it's amazing as we're navigating the material world, and Doyle, you hit it so perfectly. It's not just in the material. It's not just in extracting something for my own gratification, just from matter, that I'm going to experience fulfillment and happiness. But when I recognize this is a gift from a higher power, when I recognize this food that's been given to me, I couldn't have it, if it wasn't for Mother Nature, if it weren't for the seeds that I did not create. And that in gratitude, I offer that back. Just the recognition, I offer that back in gratitude. It becomes spiritual. All my food becomes spiritual, right? The same thing in our relationships. I see first, Doyal, you're not just a dude with, a body from California, not just my, right? Or AJ is not just like an Italian guy hanging out on his couch right now. Oh no, I'm sorry, my bad. And but that he's a spirit soul, right? You're a child of God, And now when I look at my relationship through that lens, I'm still gonna hug you, right? It's still material, right? Our bodies are still gonna embrace, I'm gonna encourage you, I'm gonna appreciate you, I'm gonna be grateful for you. And it's because I'm seeing a higher power, because I'm seeing that spiritual element, it spiritualizes the activity. And so it's something Bhaktivinoda Thakur, a great saint, in the Bhakti tradition, talked about yukta vairagya, and being able to, yukta vairagya means literally to connect everything that we're doing, to connect it to the source, to be able to see the spiritual essence, be able to see that in everyone and everything, and to be able to use it in service and loving service of our higher power and of every person to help them awaken spiritually. So
yeah, so beautifully. Someone's saying we got to get the Bhakti Avenger geography class going, boys. We got to take a spiritual geography class to figure out where everyone's from and what flags are associated with everyone.
Yes. Keep throwing your flags out wherever you're from. We know you're not your body, but we love to see where you're repping from. So
there's a verse, I should find it, in the Bhagavatam that mentions that when we're those born in the material world, we feel that our place of birth is a place of pilgrimage. that we find, we think
Yes.
this is the worshipful land of Southern California.
Dallas
When I was growing up, I
Cowboys.
thought California was the most blessed place in the world. I was like, I'm so blessed to live here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like we feel that about, there's something special about where I'm from. But I wanted to read that. Yesterday I was reading this beautiful poem by Srila Prabhupada. We were mentioning him earlier. It's a poem that he wrote in 1958 when he was just a nameless, no one sannyasi living in Vrindavan. He grew his whole life. He was a pharmacist. He was a businessman. He ran his own business. He had a family. And it all fell apart at a certain point in his life. His business failed. Family relationships fell apart. And it was just like he just turned to God and he accepted the role of a sannyasi, of a monk, of a mendicant. No money, no real residence other than just like a simple loaned room in this village of Vrindavan. And he was writing this poem. And he was reflecting on all the people in his life, his family, his friends, his colleagues, everything, all these people. And he was like, where has it all led me and where are they now? And he said, there's these two verses I wanted to read. He said, like the froth on the seawater mixes again in the sea. Maya, or illusion, the circle of birth and death, Maya samsara's play is just like that. No one is mother or father or personal relative. Just like the sea foam, they remain but a short time. Just as the froth on seawater mixes again in the sea, this body made of 5 elements meets with destruction. How many bodies does the embodied soul take in this way? His relatives are all simply related to this temporal body. So even the relationships I feel like I have are so temporary, they're not real. But then he goes on to say something powerful. In the next verse, he says, but is not everyone your relative, brother on the spiritual platform? This relationship is not tinged with the smell of Maya or illusion. The Supreme Lord is the soul of everyone. In relation to him, everyone in the universe is the same. All are your relatives, brother, all the billions of jivas. When seen in relation to Krishna, they are all in harmony. Forgetting Krishna, the jiva desires for sense gratification, and as a result is firmly grasped by Maya. And so he's kind of like that somber look at the reality of the material world, and that these relationships are temporary, and that the familial bond I feel I have with some people is actually based on something unreal and temporary. But at the same time, I do have a special kinship with my relatives and my friends and my family, because they've assisted me in this life to get to where I wouldn't be where I am today without them. Therefore, I feel tremendous gratitude towards those relationships, and I feel a natural human duty to reciprocate with that love. And I recognize that I am also bound to them in duty to assist them in that remembrance. And at the same time, that extension of spiritual connection goes beyond to every person in this world. And I could recognize that if I see myself as your brother or son or father or mother or sister or wife or husband, that relationship is going to come with tremendous joy and also tremendous pain when the break is there. But if I can see that relationship even beyond that, even more than that when this life comes to an end, when your life comes to an end, I release that control and I surrender you to the hands of God. And I pray you well on your journey. And I'm grateful for the time we spent together, and I wish all blessings in the continuation of your journey. And I'm grateful for all the blessings you've sent to me. It's a way to lift ourselves out and to not ignore the relationships that we have, but also not get caught in the false sense of those relationships. Mm-hmm. And so I was listening and reading this beautiful poem and prayer by Srila. So we should read this whole prayer by Srila Prabhupada at some point. It's a beautiful, beautiful poem. Mm-hmm. So thanks for reminding me, Vira. Thanks for reminding all of us. Any closing thoughts before we log off?
We're all messengers today. We're all postmen and postwomen. We've been given Srila Prabhupada's message and Doyal Guranga Prabhu his message from his heart, and we are all invested. We're invested with pure spiritual energy. Let's take it. Let's carry it into our days and deliver it online, in person, however life is arranged for you right now. Let's deliver that message of love, that spiritual message.
Thank you. Thank you also so much for tuning in. We're here every day, 9 a.m. to 9:30. If you want to get on our live Zoom link, please write to us at prayerrevolution@bhakticenter.org, or go to bhakticenter.org/online to find our other podcasts offering online services. We'd love to stay connected with you. Please write to us regardless. If you just want to say anything, feedback, we'd love to hear from you. We love, love, love your comments and your feedback. So please write to us. We'd love to hear your impressions of the show and what you like and what you think we can do better. It's always helpful for us to know. Please tune in on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, wherever you stream your podcast. Leave us a 5-star rating, subscribe, show us some love. It means a lot. And we will see you all tomorrow. We're grateful to you, and we look forward to tuning in again soon.
Thank you guys for tuning
Thank you
in.
guys so
Doyal,
much.
thank you for
Have a
a
blessed
beautiful
day.
Take care. Hare.
Well, bye, Bryn. AJ, the Italian Stallion. Michelle, George. What is that, a family insignia on there, AJ? Or that's what I thought. That's why I thought it's your family seal. Yeah, that's why I thought it was the Mexican flag, because I thought it was like the eagle or something. But it's got the it's the Sullivan flag. Beautiful. Love you guys so much. Take care. See you next time. Thank you, Bryn. Thank you, George. Thanks, AJ. I'm so glad to see you, Michelle. Bye bye.